Okay, so let's talk personal boundaries. Now remember, having emotions is a good thing. Emotions are good because they show us when something is or isn't working well in our lives. The presence of emotions proves you're human. Yay! Even negative emotions are good. The purpose of negative emotions is to show us when something is wrong. If you feel negative emotions due to other people's behaviours, which you feel are not acceptable, it is an indication that you have not enforced your personal boundaries. So then the question arises, what are personal boundaries? Does this mean you walk around with a fence around you? Is it your personal space? So what is a personal boundary? Well, the definition of personal boundaries is: personal boundaries are guidelines, rules, or limits that a person creates to identify for themselves what are reasonable, safe, and permissible ways for other people to behave around him or her. So now the personal boundaries set the limits for acceptable behaviour from those around you, determining whether they feel able to put you down, make fun, or take advantage of your good nature. Because remember, people can only treat you the way you allow them. So if you're made uncomfortable by others' treatment of you, it may be time to reset these boundaries. So a personal boundary is knowing what is important to you, knowing what is acceptable or not acceptable, and then communicating that to others, letting them know. Does it make you angry when your children talk to you rudely? So just go back and remember cause and effect. It is your fault, not theirs, that they speak rudely to you. So if you get angry with them for talking rudely, then you know that they have crossed your boundary, but they've only crossed it because either 1, they don't know what it is, or 2, you haven't enforced it. If you were to explain to them now the reason speaking rudely is unacceptable to you and continue to enforce your boundaries, you will find they no longer speak rudely to you and possibly you no longer get angry. So you need to understand within yourself first what your boundaries are. And they're very different from person to person. Some people don't see speaking rudely as an issue, but others do. If it affects you, that's when you need to look at your boundaries and see whether you are enforcing them. So just set aside some time to write down the ways in which each important person in your life leaves you feeling. If they leave you feeling unhappy or hurt, identify that, and once you have clearly identified the issue, decide on that specific action that you can take. How can you tell them? In this case, you may decide to say, "No, please don't derail my efforts to be healthy," or remind me how many times I've failed. And then add a positive request such as, "I'd really appreciate your help to succeed this time." Also, remember the importance of saying no to unreasonable requests and sometimes reasonable ones from time to time if they conflict with your plans. Challenge all insults that are masked as humour. As you learn to extend your boundaries, try to adapt your behaviour so you're not stepping over other people's as well. Now this may take an extra effort because our habits can go unnoticed, but aim to stop making digs at people or using humour as a weapon to put others down. Remember to say it how you want it. Right? Say it how you want it. So for example, you would say, "I want you to speak to me in a calm, pleasant voice," rather than saying, "Don't speak to me like that." Now it does take practice, so just practice, practice, practice. But the first step is identifying those things that make you feel ugh inside, writing down what those triggers are, and then working out what the boundaries are that are being crossed that make you feel that way. Now I remember after my training when I first did it, I came home, and because I didn't know what my boundaries were at that time, I used the pause. Remember in cause and effect where we said between stimulus and response there is a gap, and in that gap lay your freedom. So I used that pause, and my response was, "You've just crossed my boundaries. I'm not exactly sure what they are at the moment, but I'll work it out and I'll come back to you." So that was my pause. That was my way of not reacting to the situation, but also realizing that my boundaries had been crossed. And in all honesty, it took about 2 weeks for me to work out what those boundaries were. And then bit by bit, day after day, I got more and more aware of myself, of what triggered me, of what my boundaries were and what was being crossed. So then I was able to start communicating that to others. And let me tell you, that's when you start creating a beautiful life, by understanding yourself and enforcing those boundaries so that other people understand them as well. And doing it in a loving way, coming from a place of the intent of making everybody feel good, including yourself. So just practice, 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 practice.